We're really, really excited to do our keynote. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that up here on this slide we have the Twitter handles and our hashtag LA25. It was been really great to have the conversation in that social media space we've been having. So we encourage you to tweet and post. So I am so delighted to have our keynote speakers, the LocoL restaurant from Watts, and headed by Chef Choi, who has been an innovator in so many ways, as you may know, with the cuisines and the mix-up, and probably the first kind of foodie food truck with the Kogi truck. And then with this latest initiative, it's really amazing kind of the model, the business model that you've been innovating with your colleagues. So we're excited to hear about it, especially after the last panel we had. And I'm really excited you're here. And you're very much in demand. I think we tried to get you last year, and I got a tip from Josh, our moderator, that if you get local, then Roy will come. And so we're really excited to give more attention to what you're all doing. And I'm really excited to have my colleague here, Josh Kuhn, a fellow PI at the Rapid USC Initiative, to just have, I guess we want a more loose talk and just hear about what's going on. So we'll take it over.
Before we start, I don't know if people in the room heard, but the Restaurant of the Year was announced last night by the Los Angeles Times, and it was LocoL. Is this the first big public local appearance since the award?
Yeah, it just happened last night. We just woke up.
It's a good thing.
We turned out last night.
It's a good thing that that fees didn't change between now
I
and
know.
then.
You got lucky. You got lucky. SC got lucky on this one.
I know you.
The timing was perfect.
Yeah. So I want to first just introduce everybody quickly. We'll hear more about Roy in a second. But Keith is here joining us from Team LocoL, who also want to be known as Team Nervous for this conversation. Not you. You're not Team Nervous. You're good. Keith is Director of Operations and Head of Corporate R&D Chefing stuff at LocoL. Carnisha, here next to me, is a cook and handles social media. Yeah. Keith told me that you don't do that at the exact same time, which is good. And Lydia, on the end over there, store manager, handles marketing and community outreach.
Yes.
Yeah, so please give it up for the entire Team LocoL. You good?
Yeah, I'm all right.
So I actually, let's start with this big announcement from last night, because it is a big deal. And I'm just wondering how everybody feels about this. What kind of impact does that announcement have on you personally, and then maybe also collectively, professionally?
Okay, I can start off, and I'll pass it over.
Well, when I
found... You go ahead.
Well, I wasn't there. I was hurt that I wasn't there. But when I finally seen it, like, I was crying, like, because that was something big for me. Like, it's like I won an award, or we all won an award. We shed tears, shed blood for that, so I'm very happy.
And what's behind it? Can you talk just a little, we'll get more into this, but a little bit about what's behind those tears and what's behind that blood?
Oh, well, see, it was hard for me getting a job. So LocoL, like, I could say, like, saved me. Like, I've been out of trouble. I've been out of trouble for, what, 10 years? But before LocoL, I was, like, helping little girls, like, being, like, a leader. So, like, this was, like, a big deal for me. My cousin helped me right here, my auntie. So, like, this is, like, a big, 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 big step for me. This is the longest job I had in my life. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's real.
Yeah. For me, the award, it's big for my community, right? I mean, it's just shedding a positive light. I mean, we from Watts. I mean, how many stories, like the stories you hear are stereotypical, right? It's always negative. So since LocoL came in, like, the cameras that's coming in now is about positivity. It's not about some crime scene or some negative thing that's going on down there. So it's big. It's just letting the rest of LA know that we're here. We're here now, right? And that we hospitable. Like, it's not no jungle down there. You come down there, eat, and we just as human as everyone else, right? So it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off what Keith's saying, the significance of the award is very strong. You know, especially coming from the LA Times, coming from Jonathan Gold, coming from ourselves as residents of the city, and knowing all of the things that he just touched on, knowing how the media portrays South Los Angeles, and the history of what stories are being told, and the narrative of what's being told. And then now you have a moment in history where the narrative can't be twisted. Yeah. It's the restaurant of the year is in Watts, California. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then so that sets the stage for the future. Yes. You know, it may not change the whole world, but it sets a certain new motion for the new generation coming up now, because that's a world-class award, and then it brings light into the fact that it's not like I mentioned last night, it's not like a pity award. It wasn't like something that's just given to us. It's something that was earned through Watts, and to be acknowledged is a major thing.
Lydia, how about you?
For me, it goes just a little deeper. Those are babies. I was here during the first riot, and 50 years ago, I remember riding down the street and seeing the buildings be burned up. And for LocoL to come in, and for Roy, Choi, and Daniel Patterson to come in and walk our streets for 2 years and learn us as a people, and to tell us that they were gonna, what they were gonna do, and then they done it. It's so many people that came into our community after the first riot and the second riot, made promises and didn't keep them. And for me, I have 6 boys and 1 girl. And when I looked up, my babies was working at LocoL's, and every dream that we wanted, not just what Roy and Daniel wanted, but they questioned us. And I remember Roy walking up to me one day and said, "Oh, Lydia, what you want next?" I said, "A truck." And about 2 or 3 months later, there was the LocoL truck. And they take our time, they show a lot of love. And so for me, it's amazing to see the change and how Daniel and Roy came in and they met our needs. And they taught us to trust again, well, me anyway. I had that wall up, and it was always a negative wall because where we lived at and the things that was taking place. And I always thought negative first so that I can be secure when it hit me. And so Roy came in, and he would always talk to me and share with me. And the most part that really captured me was Roy walked up to me one day and he says, "Hey, Lydia, can you take these applications and pass them out to people that can't read or write?" And it just melted me, because after I passed them out, he hired them as dishwashers. And he not only did he hire them, but we had counseling for a whole year, twice a week, spiritual counseling, because they had already came into the community and made sure that they learned us and the things that we were going through. So it wasn't just about a job, it wasn't just about making money, it wasn't just about being seen, but it was about reaching our inner soul and making sure that we were okay. And so that's what I love about LocoL's.
Don't start crying, man. Don't cry.
And that's what the award, all of that, I mean, and we have millions of other stories, but all of that, the award now no longer is just based on a Western European idealism of what it means to put good food on a plate.
Yeah.
Now the recipe involves other things, right? It involves stories and pain and struggle. The criteria now has been shifted forever. Right. And that's what I think the significance of this award is.
Well, I remember when you and I first met, Roy, a few years ago, LocoL was a dream still. It was still an idea that you were playing with. It hadn't become the reality that it is now. And this process, I mean, in the stories that you all just told, this idea, when they came in, right, the restaurant came in, sounds as if it just popped there, but it didn't, of course. It was this long process. And I'm wondering if you could talk about the importance of that process to that more holistic view of what food is and what a restaurant is.
Okay. I can paint the picture of from a structural standpoint, how it started, and then I'll pass it off to them of how Watts received it and how their viewpoint was on it. But it actually, the whole kind of spectrum started actually on the 20th anniversary of the LA riots, right? So at that time, everyone was like gloating about how good our city had become, you know, and I was kind of more pissed off 5 years ago, you know. I'm a little more zen now, but I was more angry then, and I wrote a blog, and I just was like, basically middle finger to everyone. I was just like, fuck all y'all, you know, like you know, there's a lot of shit still going on out there, and we got a lot of work to do, and that set off a kind of a motion for me, and then I eventually started just thinking about what impact I can have in the world with food, and then it led to a speech that I gave in Copenhagen, and then that led me to meeting Daniel, and then that led to I have a friend named Akila who I had met with Three Worlds Cafe, which was a project we were doing at Jefferson High School, and that led me back when we came up with the idea, just the seed of the idea of LocoL came me back to call Akila, and I called Akila, and I asked him, I was like, you know, we have this idea, you know, and I want to start it in Watts. Do you know any real estate developers that we could talk to?
And could you say who he is?
Yeah, Akila Shirelles is, he's a part of the Watts community, and he was also instrumental in the '92 peace treaty between the Bloods and the Crips, and he's also just, you know, a big OG in the community. And he's probably spoken at a lot of events like this as well. But that led to, I was just calling him for advice because he was a good friend. And he was like, yo, I got a building right here. So I met him on 103rd and Anzac. And it one of those things in life where it was meant to be. Like I got there on 103rd and Anzac. I met Ziggy, I met Reddy, I met Nardo and Debo. And then it was like I've known them my whole life. And then it's just boom, we went from there. So that was the process that led to it. But we were still, at that point, we were still 2 years, year and a half, 2 years away from serving our first meal. So what I realized from there was we couldn't just come in and helicopter the restaurant in. It had to be, it had to come from the ground up. So that started, it wasn't like premeditated. It just happened naturally, hanging out on the block, shaking hands, getting to meet everyone. Then I realized it started growing into not only just meeting, you know, the brothers on the block, but it meant meeting the grandmothers, it meant meeting the kids, it meant meeting the organizations, the senior citizens, the nonprofits, the healthcare workers, and then we just started walking around for about a year, just meeting everyone and just with an open heart and open hands saying, hey, this is our plan, what do you guys think? And then please give us your edits. So LocoL was really, it wasn't from Daniel and myself, it was this process of like, here's a rough draft, give us the edits back, and eventually what you see now is a process of collaboration.
Is there maybe an example of something that you thought like, oh, this is what it's going to be, and then it got rewritten?
No, not really, because you know I think the philosophy of the brand was always true, but you know menu items were influenced by the community, by talking to these three people here, by me hanging out on the block. The design of the restaurant was shaped by me being in Watts, so that's why we don't have any windows or doors, you know, because the energy of that part of Watts is the block, you know? And so to come into the neighborhood and all of a sudden drop down a restaurant that is sealed off with windows and no one can get in, that would be like a big X sign to, you know, especially the youngsters, you know, they'd feel like that's not for them. So so little things like that informed not only the architecture, the design, but also the food itself. So that was the plan of it, but they can tell you more about like how they felt it.
Yeah. How about for you guys? And the process before opening day, what was that process like?
I remember when I first met Corn. I saw her walking down the block.
Yeah, I was walking. I remember filling out the job application and all that. Yeah. And it was just open to everybody. And then when I think somebody sent me a picture of it and I put it up there, so like everybody, it was like a lot of people, like a lot of people were scared because that's Watts. They like, I don't want to work right there. It's going to get shot up. And they was just, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go fill my application out. Then my auntie brought me an application. I filled it out. I got hired. So it's just been history since then. Like, I love my job to death.
I love my job.
And it's so much I could say.
For me, it was, I was more like standoffish, like my mother was saying. Like, it was like, you're so used to someone coming in, putting up a business, and then hiring people 15 miles away, 10 miles away to keep the connection, separate. So, because it's all about a profit, right? Come strip the money out the community and take it back somewhere else. So to be honest with you, I didn't believe none of this shit. Like, I didn't believe it. Like, on the real. It was like, it sounded too good to be true. Like we say, you talk to us, we talk back. The conversation got good. Like, the things that they did, like you said, he came in and became a part of the community. Met everybody, hung out, got familiar, and before you know it was like, shit, we was friends, you feel me? Like, he was friends of family. So at that point, like, shit, it was like, we was all one.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it was like, oh, that's bullshit. No, seriously. Because we get raped all the time. Like,
and what he's saying is really...
We get raped all the time.
Is really important and powerful, because we look at LocoL now, and especially where it is, and you think, because it's so powerful, it's like this beating heart, right? You think that it was always there, almost. You think that it was supposed to be there, but, you know, like, I can only imagine what he's saying is like, there was nothing there.
Nothing,
that, you know, so it's like, how can you imagine that this is going to be real?
And then also you had the whole We Build LA.
Yeah.
After the uprise. Shit, they ain't built nothing down there.
No, nothing.
Like, nothing down there. Like, they ain't nothing down there. So it just was like, we couldn't, like, it was just unbelievable for me in the beginning. Because it was like, it hadn't nothing happened in my lifetime, I'm 36, and had nothing been built down there, had nothing came down there positive. It was just always used for some type of grant, some type of organization to get money to claim that they coming to fix something down there, and then they just up and go. So, but, you know, we're changing that. LocoL is changing that, and hopefully some people can come invest in our community.
How about you, Lydia?
Oh, for me, it was really hard. Like I said, I met Roy and them when they first came down, and I was already mad at Akita because I was trying to get the building because I used to have the building.
Yeah, that was our building first.
I was our building because I sold T-shirts there.
Yeah. And
then Keita bought the building later after I got sick. And so I had experienced a letdown next door to my church. It was I had took care of this parking lot for 9 years, and the gentleman asked me for my ideas, and so I feel like I basically designed the new place that they have there, and he said he was going to hire the people in the community, and he didn't. And so when I saw Roy and them, or some of the guys working in the community, I passed by there every day like it didn't exist. And so one morning, a year later, I was coming out of prayer, and they was like, oh, they hiring over there. So I went to be nosy just to look, because I just retired from nursing. I wasn't thinking about working, and the gentleman says, hey, you want a job? I said, no, hire the young people. So so the next gentleman said, hey, you want a job? I said, no, hire the young people. So as I was walking out, Roy grabbed me, and he just hugged me. And he was like, hi, I heard about you, Mama Nisi. And Reddy said, yeah, that's my spiritual mother. So he said, you want a job? I said, no, hire the young people. And so he told one of the guys, give her application. And so I took the application, filled it out. And about a week later, they called me and asked me would I be a store manager. And Roy said, we really need you. I heard a lot about you. And so that, for me, it made a difference in my heart, because he proved himself to our community.
Yes.
And then he didn't do it like sneaky or nothing. He just was open with us. He just came in like if he was one of the brothers, you know. And we've been family ever since. It's nothing that they have done at LocoL without including us. I mean, we have meetings after meetings after meetings after meetings, emails after emails after emails. You know, I can say, like, we won the award, and Roy was like, Lydia, I want you to take this bowl, and I want you to, Kristen, did you eat this bowl? I said, eat a bowl of cereal. So I looked at the LA Times, and I slacked Roy, and he called, and I don't even know if he looked at it, but he was like, did you eat the cereal yet? You know, he's always concerned about, are we okay? You know, are we okay? And so that does a lot.
The award that we got last night is a bowl.
Yeah.
So I told her we had to break it in by eating cereal in it.
And so he emailed me early this morning talking about, did you eat the cereal yet? So that's who Roy is. He just makes sure that we're okay. And we're family. And he's always made it known that we are family. Roy, I'm gonna tell this little story here about one day we was at the restaurant and there was somebody came in and he was very disrespectful. And that's when I noticed that, oh, we are family. Because Roy just stood up to him and said, this is my family here. And you don't have to, I don't know if you pushed the tray to somebody or something, but Roy was really upset and he let him know that this is my family. And if you don't want to be, he said, Lydia, give him his money back, let him have the food and he can leave if he like. And so that let us know that we are truly family. Yeah. You know, he was concerned about the way the outsiders was treating us. You know, he came in as a customer. We treated him as a customer. We treated him as family, and he just wanted to make a scene, and Roy wasn't going to have it. So he politely said, you can have the food, you can stay here and eat, but here's your money back.
Yeah, I mean, on that situation, like in the beginning of LocoL, there was some rough roads because we were
learning.
We were learning. We were exposing people to a new environment. A lot of people who had never been to Watts before were all of a sudden showing up in Watts because of the notoriety of the restaurant, right? You got 2 world-class chefs opening a restaurant, you know, from a headline point of view, right? And so people would come in, and the thing for myself and Daniel is we walk both worlds, right? You know, on one end, I'm a chef, but on the other end, I grew up here on the streets of LA, right? So it's like, so I saw where this person was coming from. That type of attitude you would get in a restaurant on the West Side or Beverly Hills, right? Because you're paying for this expectation, so you feel like you're entitled for something. But that shit don't fly down there, you know, so, we just had to make a correction. But that correction was all a part of the process where we are now, you know, so.
So Roy, on that last point, like how did you, because I know you think deeply about all of these things and worry about all of the contradictions and complications and nuances of this whole project. You knew that when LocoL opened, not only was it going to have local neighborhood impact, but it was also going to get the attention of the West Side and beyond.
The world,
and the world. But I remember with opening day, there were people coming from all over the city to eat there. How did you think about that tricky balance of speaking to the neighborhood and the block in the ways that are real and substantive and sensitive, and the onslaught of folks who were coming to Watts for the first time to eat?
For me, it was always a very difficult emotional thing, but I felt secure. Individually, I felt secure because of the years that I put in with these guys, right? So on that part, I could talk to, for what I did was I talked to the neighborhood, and I literally asked them the question, are you guys okay when this goes out, the floodgates are going to open, right? There's going to be all kinds of people coming in that have never been here before. And I can't control why they're going to come in. Right. So, you know, are you sure you're okay with this? And everyone said, let's roll, you know? So on that level, I repeated the question over and over to a lot of people, you know, because I was concerned. Because they were hyped up already, but I was concerned because I knew maybe what it could. So with that, luckily it all turned out okay. But I relied on hopefully the love of LocoL we never took a political stance. LocoL is about like healing, you know, so I just tried to believe in that. So.
Was that an issue for any of you all in the process of the restaurant of seeing folks coming in, kind of one-off, coming in for a day or a meal and then?
We from Watts, we see it all.
Oh no, I was
they were ready.
We were ready for it, right? I mean, it was time for us to be, our community to be seen in a positive light. Like it was time, right? So that's why we try to stay on top of our game, right? Because we still proving ourselves, in a sense, right? So, you know, we welcome the cameras. as long as it's positive.
Yeah. So let's talk about the food itself for a second. When you were planning this restaurant and planning this project, it was at the height of kind of two competing currents in, at least in LA food culture, of the height of Los Angeles as the food capital of the country, of the most Instagrammed food city in the U.S. Food culture and foodie culture was at a fever pitch, and food insecurity was at a fever pitch. Hunger was at a fever pitch. Could you, and Watts was often being talked about very, very casually as being synonymous with being a food desert. Could you talk about how all of that, how you dealt with all of that, and how that impacted the menu that you created, and how you approached, as you mentioned, world-class chefs, fine dining approaches, without helicoptering that approach in?
Well, our whole process has always been local level. Our name is local, right? We go all the way down to the granular, like to the block, to the person, you know, to the moment. So it's we felt like the change could come like a butterfly flap. You know, like that wing would create echoes of change, but we couldn't focus on the change. We had to focus on what we got. So really, it was about let's just do what we do. The 30 people that we are here, the 15, 30, 20 people we are, let's just do the best that we can, and let's just serve the food to whoever walks through that door.
That's right.
And then let's let each day, you know, one foot in front of the other type of thing, you know. And it was really that, by holding the bigger, larger view, still in context, but the 99% of it was just let's just make that burger. Let's just try to serve food, good food, and everything else will come after that. So that's how we tried, because we knew that if we tried to fix the whole problem,
right,
then we would just be lost in the mix, right? You know, because this city, like our city, you know, we have those two dichotomies. One is we're the best food city in the world, but we got some of the, you know, the biggest populations of food insecurity and access in the world. Same thing with housing, right? We got the best real estate, the best development going on. It's the most exciting city to move to right now in the world. We have the biggest homeless population in the world, you know? So it's like LA is always about that dichotomy, but we were just trying to kind of affect a little bit of change. I knew it would happen, you know, because I was involved. The thing that kept me going, my North Star, personally, was Kogi, right? Because I don't know, y'all know what Kogi is?
What is that? I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, okay,
well,
yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure you do, and if you don't, then you're late. But Kogi, you know, the truck, 2008, Twitter, tacos, all that. But for me, I went through a revolution through my own eyes. I saw the world change, you know, from one taco, because I was the one cooking that taco, right? I saw it change from no one wanting our food to 2,000 people in parking lots, right? So, and then the world changing. So I saw that happen, and I knew that we could do the same thing with local. We just had to stay kind of in the pocket. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So let's talk granular real quick. I would love to hear about, and you can pick other ingredients or other dishes, but I'd love to hear about how the philosophy translates into the burger itself, the way you approach meat in the burger, and what is in the burger, and also the dough and the breads, and about the training that went on for everyone in the local team to join you in that approach to making a burger that way and making the dough the way you're making it.
Well, I definitely want to hear their thoughts on how they love the food. We really cared, because it was, again, kind of two things. It was we had to create recipes that, one, were innovative, but also cost efficient, but also that could be consistent and easily reproduced, right? So that's one level from a chef side. But we also had to cook food that the neighborhood wanted to eat, right? We couldn't build a restaurant in Watts and not have people of Watts eat at the restaurant, right? That's just silly. So it couldn't be this like food that only we as chefs feel that is important. Does that make sense? Because then that would just be an ego-driven restaurant. So, But then also we wanted to serve food that was $1, $2, $3, and $4. Because all of the things we thought about were part of the recipe of local, you know? Because one, we wanted to build this restaurant, but we have to also be aware and real to the fact that no one has jobs, right?
So there's no money.
There's no money.
And
we're in the middle of the projects.
Matching fast food price
And
points?
we have to speak to the youth, and it has to compete with fast food because the only other option is Jack in the Box, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, right? Subway. So we got to compete with that. But then we're not using commodity items, we're not using preservatives, we're not using chemicals, and we don't have futures as far as the power to buy futures in the stock market and commodity market, right? So all these things have to be factored in, right? Plus we got to sell the food for $4. So that's where Daniel and I started talking about grains and vegetables, using scraps, using end-to-end on everything and building flavor compounds from things that don't cost that much money. Seaweed, fish sauce, grains, vegetable roots and stems, and all these things. So, but we kept all of that behind the scenes because if you put that in front, no 16-year-old kid is going to want to eat.
Because I didn't want to eat it.
You didn't want to eat it, they didn't want to eat it. So we had to put all of that stuff into what looked like a burger. And so that was local. So, you know, at the beginning, I think the first phase of the menu was a little too high-minded. I think we hit it, but it was a little bit too chefy. I think where we are now is where we're supposed to be, right? I think where we are now is where we were supposed to be. But it took that process to get there. So
what was behind that nod? That nod?
All right, like the burger. The burger
was
is
too much.
better. Like it was good, but like people was like, you ain't got no lettuce, no tomato. Like that, the people from Watts was saying that. So they came. He came, I think, and he was like, all right, we got a new burger. So we toasting the burgers. We putting our little special sauce. We making our own pickles. We putting our pickles. We putting lettuce, tomatoes, onions, everything on a burger. So the burger is like
a burger.
A burger. It's a burger. So when everybody used to come in, they used to be like, "You ain't got no real burgers. Like there's no real burgers." It just didn't have the lettuce, tomatoes, and onions. Like now, everybody just coming. They just coming for the burgers.
Yeah, because the first burger had like charred scallion lime relish with fermented soybean, like red sauce, and it was too
So they
much.
like the burgers. They love the burgers. I love the burgers.
They like the burgers, but I sometimes work the cash register, and the stuff that the items that we took away, it was like, oh, you don't have the turkey burger no more? I said, you guys was complaining about the turkey burger. No, we want the turkey burger. So I'm like, you got what you got now.
Or like, it was also very clever on the original menu. I'm not sure if this has changed, but you know, the veggie nuggets.
Yeah, we still have those.
You know, which looked and in a way, in some ways, tasted like a traditional, you know, chicken nugget. But it had that fried crustiness on the outside, but also had, you know, was a veggie nugget. I mean, that was a smart, I think, a very smart way of playing with expectations, but keeping taste profiles solid.
But you know, I don't want to like create a romantic story of local. We're only a year and a half old, and we still are working hard to change habits, right? Because you're talking about 30 years of habits of corporations infiltrating, you know, brainwashing and infiltrating the food into the communities, and also the fact that you have to understand the cultural implications of why a bag of Cheetos and a bottle of Fanta makes sense, right? Because a bag of Cheetos is $1, 4 kids can split that up, right? Whereas a veggie nugget is just for yourself for $2 or $3. So it changes. You got to change habits and stuff, and we got to speak to the youth. So, I think we've gotten the adults to change. I think we still have to figure out how to make local a little more kind of like viral for the youth, you know, because we're not getting enough of the 14, 13, 12-year-olds. And I don't think that's the fault of local. I think it's just that's the next phase of our path.
I don't think they got allowance.
They don't got the allowance. And the food, the veggie nugget is a great thing, but, you know, but it ain't a bag of Cheetos yet. You know what I mean? So we're getting there.
So speaking about those struggles and about the business and financial structure and sustainability of LocoL, this is early on. There was some discussion about why this restaurant wasn't a nonprofit versus a for-profit project, and you went online, as you occasionally do, and shared some feelings about the importance of a for-profit. Could you talk a little bit about the business model that you've had, but then also about the struggle of the right now, about how this is sustained going forward?
Yeah, and shout out to all the nonprofits, because without that work out there, there would be nothing in the community to support it. Because no one would be investing. But for us, I don't come from the nonprofit world. I'm a business owner. I'm a chef. I'm an entrepreneur. So I had to develop something that I knew, and that I was good at. But also on a larger scale for us at LocoL, it was about, there are so many great nonprofits out there. It's not our role right now to fit into that model. Maybe we can bring something else. And we looked at the other side of the picture of, maybe there are all these support systems there, but there's still no jobs, and there's still no economy, and there's still no banking system for someone who's been out of prison, or maybe if you got a record, or you don't have a job or credit, or maybe when you were young you built back credit. So we wanted to be a part of a new process that created wealth and economy and prosperity, and talked about money and created relationships with money that were positive, right? Because these guys could tell you right now, the relationship with money revolves around a cash-based economy, right? So like, even if you get a paycheck, a lot of our folks can't open bank accounts, right? So if you can't open a bank account, then you got to go to a check cashing. And if you go to check cashing, then you get money taken out. So then that psychologically, you're like, fuck, man, they're taking my money. But then that money has to be all cash and has to go in your pocket. So then it's gone. Then it's gone, right? So then that cycle repeats itself. So what LocoL was trying to look at was, how can we move the needle to where, first, we'll create the economy. With our notoriety, we would get investors and developers to look at us that wouldn't look previously. That's where we would leverage ourselves as chefs. Then other people could come and invest, and we could be the gatekeepers to that and say, if you're going to invest here, you have to hire from the community. Then not only 30 people would have jobs, but then there would be 45 jobs. Then within 2 years, there might be 150 jobs. Then with 150 jobs, we could leverage that in the story. I'm already talking to a lot of people up in Silicon Valley to create a whole new form of banking, where that banking can exist in almost like a viral format, where like if they're getting paid, they can just deposit it in, not open a bank account, but they could just have it as credit on their card, and then that card can be used out in other sources. So that's really why we wanted to go the profit route, because our goal was to create economy, not to sustain what exists. So.
Great. Before I open it up to the room, I have no idea what time it is, but I assume Annette's going to look crazy at me really quick. Okay.
They're not on dessert yet, so I think we're good.
All right. Oh. See? This is how you see the world and how I see the world. Right. You've been waiting for dessert to land. I wanted to maybe just, as a last question, for you guys, what are the biggest struggles and changes that still need to happen with LocoL? What would you like to see done next?
In LocoL? It's just more, communication, teamwork. Like the team, we already a team, so we getting better. We getting better every day. So it ain't like it was last year. Like we way better. So
are you referring to, like, you guys had to close, right? Right. You had to temporarily regroup after the first week or two. What was it?
We ran out of food.
We ran out of food. Yeah.
Sold out.
I was trying to go temporarily regroup.
Yeah,
right?
we
ran out of
temporary. That's when we first opened. Like we really sold out, and people came from London.
Yes.
Like people came from over the world just to get some of that food. And then one person came, I mean like 2 people came, they came from London though, but we wasn't open. So she asked us could we cook them some just because they came from a whole, so we made them some, they was happy. So they went back to London. They just came out. They came just for LocoL. So
Exactly.
that felt good, and then it felt good because me being from Watts, I never ever seen like it always was like colored and Hispanics. Like we seeing more like of everybody. So like that's a big thing to me. Seeing people I ain't never seen come to Watts, and they ain't scared, and they ain't the big picture like you gonna get robbed or like all the stuff they hear. It's none of that. So now they get to see for themselves how Watts is.
Keith, what about you? Things that need
What's the question again?
things that you'd like to see change, things that need to be improved upon for the future
More
of the restaurant.
support. We need customers.
Right.
Need customers.
Support. We just need more support. Right?
And has that dropped over the last year?
Yeah. I can comment on that once he's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
We just the whole reason we're here is to feed the people, right? To feed people. We've done our part. We've created a great menu. We put the facility in place. We got hell of a good price points. Now we just want to do what we're here to do and just feed the people. We just need the people to come out. We need the community support. We need all the support we can, right? Us as a whole, we just can't let LocoL fail. So if I could see anything, it's just be everybody band together, right, to make sure this succeed and continue to grow. Because other than that, we're just gonna be dealing with big ass corporations that's come in and strip your community, right? So we gotta come together and like not let this fail.
And for you, what's been the strategy in your head about like how to get more people in?
Just listening to the people. Like they say, we came in with one menu, and just listen to people, right? LocoL is a living entity, right? And we're constantly changing, evolving. When different communities want different things, we're willing to come in. Like that's why, like they came in and talked to us, right? And any community we decide to go to, we there to service the community. So it's like whatever the menu in Watts not necessarily have to be the menu at the next location, and that's proven in Oakland, right? So we're open to anything. We just want the support of the people.
Okay.
Right? We're listening. Talk to us. We talk back.
So for me, it's we're at a crossroads with LocoL because I was telling you earlier, it's like the movie Moonlight, right? Like we're holding the Academy Award, but no one was in the theater watching the movie, right? And so that's kind of like how we are with LocoL in a sense. Like we're like a critic's darling. We're getting all of these awards and accolades, but we're not that busy, you know. And we need to be busier. And we're not sitting idle, just waiting for people to come and patronize us. We're trying and changing and morphing every day, but you know, we also just need some help. You know, we need a bridge of all of you guys coming out to Watts, friends of yours, cousins of yours, put it on your Facebook, come out, because this is a social, you know, endeavor for all of us. So while the commerce and people spending money in Watts will be the bridge, we'll figure out as a business how to continue it, you know? Because again, it's a business, right? So if we don't become successful and it closes, and a part of it for me that weighs heavy is that, you know, I don't want to fail, to be honest, in Watts, because in the 3 years that this has become a public project, I don't see anyone behind me coming up. I mean, I'm just being real, you know? Like if LocoL falls off and we fail, just because we can't support it and pay the bills, I don't see anything behind me coming up. I don't see a shoe store coming up. I don't see a market coming up. I don't see another restaurant coming up. You know, there's not a movie theater or a pool hall, nothing, right? So if LocoL falls off, I don't know where Watts is going to be after that, you know? And it's going to have to go back to something that was pre-LocoL, you know? So, so we just need help.
Yeah.
Lydia, do you want to add to that?
My mind is running fast. I know the question was,
What you'd want to see, what changes need to still happen?
For me, I think the same thing that Keith and Roy was talking about, just support. And I just want to detour just a little bit because Roy, he doesn't know we love this man. I'm the store manager, and Roy comes up to me and says, Lydia, just do you. And when I looked up, Roy, I think we think kind of alike, because he allowed one of the kids in the community was making some shirts. And he says, hey, bring your business here, and we'll sell it for you and give you the money. And that's what he done. And then we looked up, we was having a book club. We have book club for the elementaries. They come in once a month, and we do book club and give them free ice cream. On Thursday nights, we do poetry night, where they do open mic. And so, and then we close off the streets and allow vendors to come in and sell their items and sell their food and, you know, just have a community event. So LocoL is just not a restaurant to sell food, but he allowed people to come in and make money to continue to do their business, whether they're nonprofit or for profit. And so I just would love to see the community embrace us more. Like he talked about, to get the young people to come out. And so he's always worrying about the young people and how Lydia just stand out there and give them free food. So when they come by after school, we just give them the free food and let them taste the food. So it's about just getting the community to embrace us and to come in and learn about the food and know that this place is there for them. We get a lot of outsiders to come in, but we need Watts to embrace Watts.
We need
And
LA
so,
to embrace too.
LA too, but like
LA
what I want to comment on that is why that's so important right now in just this bridge period is because we have to remember the context of Watts again, right? It's not that the kids and the residents of Jordan Downs or Watts don't want to support LocoL.
Right.
They love it, man. Watts is gangster all throughout, everywhere. You can walk anywhere from Compton to Inglewood, Long Beach, Watts, Linwood, anywhere. You say LocoL, it's got respect. But again, we're dealing with the fact that, you know, a lot of folks don't have money right now, right? So that's still a reality. So they just can't support us every day. It's not that they don't want to. So that's why, and that's why in this bridge period, we need y'all to support us.
Yes.
Right? And then we need y'all to support, and when I mean y'all, not just you. You said this is going around the world, right? So y'all in the world. Like we need y'all to support Watts, this
Watts.
mission. This is a moment in time where we've created this thing. This baby is out there in the world. We need to all feed it, and it's like it's a moment of action, you know. So that's really what we need, you know.
And I mean, and when LocoL started, it was you did a lot of fundraising that was online crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Right. Then and with a mix of private investment.
Yeah.
And is that still the model going forward?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Q&A time, says the sign. Questions, comments, thoughts from any of you?
Cool.
Great job.
Great job.
Yes. Got two at that table, it looks like.
Okay, we'll answer that.
Okay.
I'll answer that real quick. Ebt Cards, yes, we're on the process, but I don't know if any of you are all familiar with the process. It's a very long process to get approved. And we are in a weird zone where we're not a market. So to get approved as a restaurant is even harder. Luckily, we've had some angels out there that have moved our application up to the top. And so we could have been 3, 4, 5 years out from getting approved, but I went about 2 months ago to Baldwin Park and signed the paper. So now it's in the process, in another process. It went from one pile to another pile, but it's in the final pile. So that final pile is, I think, September or October. And then once it gets out of that final pile, then it goes into a small little other pile. And then that pile is the actual thing. So I would say by the end of the year.
Okay, and then number 2, do you do catering?
Yes, we opened a truck, as she mentioned. You can just go to our website, welocal.com. LOCOL, or catering@WeLocal is our email. But we have a truck, and so that truck can go anywhere. And so that's really key for us, because we know that a lot of people wanted to support local, but you might be working in Westwood, right? And you just can't make it down to Watts, but you're sitting at your office and you want to help. So we created this truck to try to go out. So yes. We do birthday parties.
Proms.
We do USC social initiative galas.
Yes. Yeah, I think there was a hand in the middle there.
Mr. Choi, my name is James. Could you give us a little background on you? I'm not sure, but I think someone told me that you had started in Oakland. Is that correct?
No, we started in Watts.
Okay.
So we now have 3 outlets of local. So we started in Watts and we have 2 in Oakland. But me, I'm from Koreatown.
Oh, you're from Los Angeles.
I'm from
Could you
LA.
give us a little background, a little high school on up, and so we can give an idea of who you
want to
are?
know my life story?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Buy the book.
What time is it? This is going to be good.
What time
This is going to be good.
Buy the book.
All right. I don't know. I was born in Seoul, Korea. I came here when I was 2. Landed right over here on Westmoreland and Olympic. Grew up in Koreatown. And then in high school moved to Orange County and went to high school in Orange County. So I had 2 different polar opposite lives. You know, I grew up here in LA and low riding in Norwalk and East Los. And then I moved to Orange County to the suburbs to an all-white high school. And I had to figure that out and adjust to that. But all of that, I think, as I look back, were building blocks for me to be able to cook for everyone, you know? And so I worked as a chef, a professional chef. I worked in not only really, and then I think that lifestyle mirrored also my professional career, where I started out as a very like meticulous, high-end French chef in New York. But then I became a hotel chef, like here. So I would have to cook breakfast and weddings and, you know, things like that. So it humbled me to be able to cook for everyone. And then when Kogi happened, which is the food truck in 2008, all of those things prepared me to be able to go out to the streets and cook for people, for the neighborhoods from Hawthorne to Long Beach to Granada Hills to Irvine to Koreatown to Boyle Heights. My life had prepared me to cook for that. And so that's where I'm from. You know, I'm just from LA, you know.
Oh, right there, sorry. And then you in the back.
Hi, so I live about 5 minutes away from Loco's, and I've been once, and I just wanted to let everybody know that it is fabulous. It looks beautiful on the inside. When I was going past, it didn't have any windows, and I thought that was pretty weird. But when I walked in, it looked beautiful. It was brand new. They had Wi-Fi. Everybody, all the employees were really nice. They really seemed to love their job, which is like most people hate their job. And so when they work in that kind of like field, but I can just tell that they were happy to be there. And I'm also happy that they had vegan options. I was able to get their messy greens, which are $2, and they're slamming. So I would suggest that everybody, if you can, please visit Loco's because they are great.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
There was a hand back there.
So there's there, and then there's back there.
Sorry,
So
I can't see past the podium.
Okay, hello everyone. My name's Luz Nunez, and I'm a resident of Watts. I've been living there for about 4 years now.
right.
I was born and raised in South Central, and we transitioned on to Watts, which is great. And I've been to Local, it's great. My question to you all is actually, with the new development coming in on Jordan Downs, how is Local being portrayed as an agent of change? There's going to be new changes coming into Watts, Century Boulevard, that whole section. You know, do the employees know? Does the community know? And how is Local being, you know, a model for all these other entities that are going to come into that space in Watts.
Okay, well, I'll kick it off and I'll give it to these guys. You know, we know John Jones real well, and we know the whole redevelopment side real well. But I think where local could be a help is, but who knows? I mean, they're dealing with billions of dollars, you know, and it's very political and all that. Who knows if they're going to listen to a small fry like us? I feel like they should, but I don't know. But I think if we could help is that we could be an oversight committee and a learning center for these new developments to understand how to open businesses in Watts, what the criteria are, how to be sensitive to what's important in the neighborhood, who to hire, and things like that. But I don't know if they're going to listen all the way to us. But
yeah, they ain't gonna listen.
They ain't gonna listen. They ain't gonna listen. So
they didn't even come ask the questions before they came in.
Yeah.
Right? They sat in wherever they was at and came up with their ideas and developments, and then they just come bulldozing.
So we might be like that movie Up. Like we might be the grumpy old man in the house, holding ground. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Another question. There was a hand in the middle here.
Right here.
Right there.
Hi, my name is Devon Perez. I'm part of the Little Sunshine. I'm right over there on the picture. I'm a native from Watts. I grew up right around the corner in the Jordan Projects, right around the corner from the restaurant. Been there numerous of times. It's phenomenal. Like, it's the best thing, one of the best things that happened to Watts. Since I done grew up in Watts, I done went off to school and everything and came back, and LocoL was here, and man, LocoL is like really doing big things around Watts and with the community. You can see the love around there, just walking around. You could just walk straight to LocoL from the 103rd station. You can walk straight there without a problem. It's changed a lot since LocoL's been there. And I thank you for coming to Watts and changing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, last question. Time for one final question.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I grew up in LA and been working in the downtown and East Los Angeles area for the past 5 years. I have a question regarding, I think it's great that you chose to go the for-profit route, but do you have any plans in the future to partner with nonprofits or make your enterprise like a B Corp, things like that?
Yeah, I think as we're growing, again, we're only a year and a half old. Like, we just started with one thing. Who knows what we're going to morph into? We may even morph into a nonprofit. Who knows? And then other reflections of the business are profit, you know? But we're a little bit like, we're just kind of like doing it with very roughly. Like, we don't have a plan. We literally just want to operate the place to not lose money. That's really all we're trying to do. And I'm never going to see a dime from the Watts store. You know, my partner is never going to see a dime. If there ever is profit from that store, that profit will go back to the community, right? So it really runs as a not-for-profit in a sense. But the mentality behind the store is to run it like the most successful, profitable store in the world. Because that's how our philosophy has to be. I want that place to be balling. I want it to be like money just falling out the windows, right? Because then that money, the more money we make, the more money goes back into Watts, right? I'm never, ever going to take a penny from that store. So in that sense, we have to think of it as a profit restaurant. But the philosophy is a not-for-profit, if that makes sense.
I want to thank you all so much for taking the time and being here with us.